Next Art Online Progressive movie project has been revealed to be the Floor 5 story Scherzo of Deep Night, coming out in 2022. Let's talk about it because everyone and their grandmother just cannot take a breath to process the information properly in this day and age and have the urge to just go full panic mode on Twitter. Is it an extremely weird choice to skip floors 2 to 4? Yes. Is it disappointing that we currently seem to be jumping to floor 5? Yes. Does that mean we are never getting floor 2 to 4 at all? No. Is it a necessity for you to experience floor 2 to 4 to understand floor 5? No. But you should still read the books because they will be a better experience as the source material. Is it okay for them to jump to floor 5? Yes, much more so than adapting an entire arc while cutting out key information that's never going to get a chance to be elaborated on ever again. I had other plans this weekend. Licorice DLC is coming out, so I had prepared the returning player's guide for casual so that they could catch up, but now I need to sit down, prepare an entirely new video on some community meltdown. This is why you generally see me come up with takes contrary to the heated community sentiment. Whether it's criticizing something that's receiving a lot of praise or praising something that's receiving a lot of criticism. Playing devil's advocate used to be a skill and took effort in the old days when people actually had thought out arguments. Nowadays it's like everybody just has an emotional outburst first and then forget they even had a problem with something because it becomes clear there is not a major problem that's worth the effort to make a fuss about. And I aim to be the voice of reason here, whether some people are gonna like it or not. So let's all take a breath and have a look at the situation. I'll have another video regarding the changes from canon on the topic of progressive versus progressive with a capital if, just to emphasize that, given another outburst despite the movie apparently being fucking great, but that's probably for tomorrow or next Friday. This video is not gonna be spoilery per se, but given that I'm talking about Aria as well as every story up until and including Floor 5 Scherzo of Deep Night, I will need to make certain story links clear and I will draw parallels to the Fate Grand Order adaptation as I do so too, with generic links again between its stories the same way, so if you don't want that, leave now. Background footage is just Aria trailers on a loop, so no need to watch the screen, there won't be anything on it. Okay, so jumping to Floor 5 for the next movie has been revealed as the final screen in the Aria movie as a text on screen, stating it would be on screen in 2022. That is literally all the information out there, and the first thing you need to register is that we simply have no information for anything else, anything in between. The official SAO accounts also have not announced anything about it, most certainly waiting for more people to experience the movie itself in theaters before starting the promotional phase with an official public reveal for the next project. So, as things stand, any kind of speculation is just completely mute insignificance, whether you try speculating for a positive implication or a negative one. We may harp a lot on A1 or any animation studio really, or the animation committees, etc. But one thing you need to understand is that they are businesses with data backing up their decisions, as well as plenty other decisions they made already that they're not yet wanting to share. For example, if there had to be a jump, as in, we're not adapting Floor 2 next movie, whatever their reason may be, Floor 5 is literally the least problematic point to jump into in the ongoing narrative of Progressive. Why? Because Floor 3 starts the Elf War campaign with Kismel that is an ongoing and directly and strongly connected narrative that is pretty much featured in every single floor until it ends on Floor 9. It picks up exactly where the previous portion of the quest ended, with all of its extensive baggage to carry with it every single floor, and continues that exact same thread as if nothing else happened on the next floor, because from the perspective of quest steps, there's literally nothing in between them, it just carries on normally. However, there's a single floor that is an exception to this. Floor 5 is the only story that does not feature the Elf War campaign in that continuity. While the Elf War is referenced and one of the locations is reused, it has zero direct connections to the main overarching narrative of Progressive at that point in time. There's another ongoing subplot that has a spike in Floor 5, the PK Guild subplot. A lot of people are acting like this is the culmination of every incident that happened in the previous floors. It isn't. The culmination of this incident is the Laughing Coffin raid way towards the end of the Aincrad Arc. What we have here is literally just a 2-page teaser showing us a character that we know from elsewhere. It's just a very normal part of the PK Guild teasers that are sprinkled all around the story of Progressive, hence why I do not refer to it as an overarching narrative, but an overarching subplot. Floor 5 also features the coming together of a certain group of different people that we get to know over the course of the previous floors, but the reality of the matter is, only 2 of them received some characterization in the floors 2 to 4, whereas the rest of the group receives their characterizations in floor 5 anyways, with the exception of Egil, who is also prominently featured in floor 1. And again, if over half a dozen people receive their characters there in floor 5, getting 2 more characterization at that instance, it won't make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. And also, as a similar example, Fate Grand Order anime has been an amazing experience. It has the exact same chapter format with its singularities being structured the same way as Progressive's floors, generally contained within its own story, but has an ongoing narrative or overlapping ties between the individual chapters at times. And guess what? Fate Grand Order literally killed it with Babylonia anime, despite the fact that Babylonia is pretty much the last chapter before the ending of the first main arc. There had been so much mysteries piling up, so many of them already solved, so much character development happened, so many characters met, so many characters lost at that point, yet none of that mattered. The fans of the game did go, I understood that reference when they saw a reference to previous stories, whereas the anime only simply went, I wonder what that meant, maybe I should go check it out, in complete excitement because the end product was just so good, despite previously sounding like the most idiotic thing to attempt, adapting the last adventure of your story right before the end after only having adapted your chapter 0 and skipping chapter 1/6 entirely. I know some of you jackasses will bring Camelot Part 1 to claim it was a terrible choice. Camelot Part 1 wasn't shit because it had nothing before it was adapted, it was shit because it was a terrible movie all around. And of course, last but not least, we literally don't know what they are going to do about floors 2 to 4 at the moment. Unlike the regular anime adaptation just cutting out chapters in the course of its ongoing narrative, like the Jotunheim in Fairy Dance or Zakaria in Alicization, individual floors are proper standalone materials themselves. They are not skipped forever, they're just jumped over for the time being. Progressive is a massive series and can easily return to those previous floors whenever it wants, similar to what FGO is doing. They literally went chapter 0, then chapter 7, then chapter 6, but in 2 parts this time around, and now we just get the finale. And to add, we don't even know if we'll get anything in between the movies. As mentioned at the beginning, aside from the movie's end scene stating that we're getting Floor 5 in 2022 on screen, no official public announcement has been made yet, so for example, just spitballing here, don't be surprised if there's a 1-core TV anime planned for floors 2 to 4 sometime before Scherzo movie. Or even after the Scherzo movie, because at that point they can go for a 2-core TV anime, just carrying onwards, starting the L4 campaign, and moving on with that. Now, a TV anime is of course not my preferred choice of presentation, but yeah, that is still very much an option. So yeah, either way, I hope that makes the scene a bit clearer for you. Aria was seemingly an incredible movie despite the changes, as I have expected when everyone else was fuming solely because change bad. So why not take a breath on these news before you go rant on Twitter? There's nothing to be mad about here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Stay cool.